Morning, getting out here early, cup of coffee. Thanks to Veed for the cup, loving it. Getting out here actually before the sun is fully hit. It really needs a good watering, big time. So, in fact, I came out last night and I had to water the zinnias because honestly, they looked a little bit like death. Like I kind of questioned whether I had killed them. Leave my coffee there. But they look pretty good this morning, so I think they desperately needed a good old drink. And everything else does too. I try not to water too often. I'm using some grow bags this year, and I've never used them before. And I do notice that with the grow bags, you have to water more often. They just drain really, really well. And so what I did was, except for 2 of them, because I forgot in the last 2 that I ended up planting, I actually went to the store and bought these really cheap, sorry if my finger keeps getting in front of the camera. I went to the store and bought these really cheap plastic plates, and I put a plate in the bottom of each one of the bags. And that allows the water to kind of collect down there and not drain out quite so fast, but it doesn't fill the entire bottom. And so I'm still getting drainage, which you want. You don't want it to just sit there. So yeah, I'm going to water this beautiful garden that's getting big and lush. And I am going to tie some tomatoes up because it definitely looks like they grew a foot overnight. And then I'm just gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll fill it with something, don't you worry. Okay, watering is done. Sun is full on the garden at this point, which means it's hot out here. I did end up pulling one of my tomato plants. It's just one of those ones that was weird looking, I told you guys about in a previous video. It also was one of the ones, you know, here in the Midwest, we had a really, really wet spring season. And the simple fact is we had some pretty serious storms that have rolled through, and we've had in the last month probably 3 hailstorms, and one of them damaged about 3 of my plants. And that is one of the plants. I have another one over there that may end up getting pulled. I just think it's gonna get pulled. I'm just telling you, it's gonna get pulled. And then as I look around, I think that's all of the plants that were hail damaged that didn't recover. I did have a couple others that had some pretty serious damage, but they ended up kind of putting some new shoots off, and so they're doing good. What I'm gonna do now is I am going to tie up some of my squash plants. So the 3 huge ones over here, they are just gonna vine. They're gonna do what I've always done. And then these 10 in this back bed, I am going to tie to a stake and try growing them vertically. I told you guys earlier that process just makes sense to me. I've watched a lot of videos on it, and I think that's good. Also, I have a squash that looks like it probably needs to be harvested today. I like to harvest young and early. I don't necessarily like waiting until they're huge because I don't think the flavor is as good. So we're gonna harvest that today, and I'll probably do that about the time we're ready for dinner, and we'll throw that in and I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do for dinner, but I would say probably throw some roasted vegetables or something like that and eat some squash. Now if I can get my husband to eat the squash. Okay, so that's done. Got all of the squash tied up, the 10 on the back, and thank you. And now we are, nobody's out there, it's a cow. And now the kids are working on getting the house cleaned up a little bit and doing a few chores. And yeah, I'm gonna take a little ibuprofen because the sun on my head causes a headache. Okay, so I did end up spraying neem oil last night on the peppers. They look a lot better this morning. Not perfect. I'm gonna have to probably continue to do that. But I don't see a lot of things eating on them right now. I do need to go through and wipe off some aphid eggs, so I'm probably going to get to do that now. I don't enjoy doing that, guys, but it's one of the necessary evils in the garden. So when I do the neem oil, I use a spray bottle, something like this, okay? This one holds a gallon, and I usually end up doing it with about 2 quarts of water. For 1 quart of water, I believe it's 1.5 teaspoons of the neem oil. Then I put in a few drops of peppermint oil and some dish soap. I use the Blue Dawn stuff, but any dish soap will work. That just helps with it mixing together. I usually do it with 2 quarts of water, so I double that amount and I mix it real good. And this is just one of the pump action sprayers, and I go out and I spray the plant and saturate it, top and bottom of the leaves. And usually the next morning you can already see a difference. Now, I never do that in the morning. I never do that when the sun is full on. I always do that in the evening, kind of when the sun has gone down. It's still daylight outside, but it's no longer shining directly on the garden leaves.